of the problems that we've seen have been taken care of. One, the time it takes to pay the loan, it can be too short. This one, I think it's to 3 years now. It's better so. And so, and the interest rate in that again is short. But the important thing, the reason why the World Bank, the government, they are doing all of this for you is to make it better so you can take care of yourselves. The money is not free money. Use it, pay it back. If you have a problem, you come back to the lending institution, meaning the club that gave you the money, come back to them. And when there is a problem, they'll be able to help you. For ourselves as a government, and we'll come to the World Bank and other government partners for this kind of support. There is a thinking that we are now trying to develop a service center, a national support service center, to help people of our people who are involved in these kinds of things.
Meanwhile, the president of LBDR, James Davis, that's John Davis, encouraged beneficiaries to pay back the loan in time to ensure others benefit from the initiative.
This extension that the World Bank and the government of Liberia has graciously agreed for us to sign on today. It's not for you to wait until year 5 before you start thinking about payment. Please, we beg you. That's not the intent of this extension. This extension is intended to ensure that you work with us so that as you are paying back, we give you the opportunity to take more and also give other businesses the opportunity to benefit. I'm sure you will agree with us, most respectfully, that you are not the only SMEs in the Republic of Liberia. There are many businesses also who are desirous and equally expecting to benefit from this arrangement. We beg you, we'd like for you to work with us to achieve that. Because as you become successful in working with us, in working with the other non-bank financial institutions, and we are able to replicate the success story, more opportunities will come for you to benefit, and you will graduate to even greater and bigger buckets in terms of access to finance.
The Chief of Prevention at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Robert Akwe, says the current drug law of Liberia has rendered the agency weak in the eyes of the public. Mr. Akwe observed that though the LDA has the capacity to fight drug abuse in Liberia, the current drug laws on the book are extremely weak. He noted that illicit drugs have seriously taken over the country, rendering the young people vulnerable in society. The LDA Chief Prevention made the observations Wednesday when he served as guest speaker at the launch of the student anti-drug campaign in Monrovia.
And we have been working along with the national legislature to see how best we can do to improve the drug law. We believe when it helps us to improve the drug law, that will progress somebody with drug, sentence you for 10 to 15 years. When people see those as samples, they will not be able to do it again. But you catch somebody here today, next week you see them outside. And sometimes somebody can go to our TA for them by arrested. He said the TA for the people, but you also see me back here, and indeed you will see them back. And you know what? All our lawyers are on the law school now. Everyone is defending law school. This is about our passion for the job, like our men and women of our team. Then we are out, definitely. And drug is taking all our people. Drug is taking all our people. And how can we fight the drug? We have to fight the drug through the commitment from the community members. Because we are not magicians. Now, we say that I help others that are brought from the post medicine. We do that somebody said it to us here. We have to reform. And we say, I want
LDA boss Robert Akwe. My Gibi County District 1 representative Teparusa Tampoa is calling on the youth, especially students of the district, to denounce drug abuse and focus on their education. Representative Tampoa noted that the young people, most of whom are students, have fallen prey to the consumption of illicit drugs.
And occupy a unique position in our government. Your future should be our business. Your development should be our business. What do I mean by that? If you're a representative, you want to make sure that you work with institutions and empower the institutions to make the right decisions to develop you. Look, the future for some of us, we are in our future today. Liberia cannot move forward with you. Today you might be in uniforms, grade school, and most of us were there yesterday. If you are not disturbed and distracted from being what you're supposed to be and say, oh, I want to be cool, I want this thing that can make me to feel good for now, for you to be associated with doing drugs.
Taking a personal approach and offering alternatives, like I said, programs. Like for example, I've engaged the Bakaya boys in my community, and I'm offering them the opportunity to do gardening. So we created a budget that close to some $5,000. I will fund that personally. But if boys who are using drugs before can come to your house, an Lntv journalist, instead of bringing you a package of drugs, they brought a tray of fruits, and they say, you're selling drugs. Instead of selling drugs, I want to sell fruits. Will you not support them? Of course.
Over 180 women will Thursday graduate from an 11-month intensive skills training program organized by the Liberian National Red Cross Society. The project, under the caption Women Training and Integration Program, WIN for short, to empower most vulnerable women in densely populated communities in Montserrat County to ensure that they realize their full potential in society. Bolu Sakol is a psychosocial support officer at the Red Cross.
Red Cross is open to work with any partner, and that is one major challenge that we have right now. When we are doing recruitment, we recruit
Thanks for rejoining us. We now continue with our stories. Members of the Liberian National Bar Association will Thursday gather in Kakata, Maigibi County for its annual meeting. The legal meeting will focus on several key topics, including putting closure to the 14 years of conflict, accountability, or impunity. Speaking to Lntv News ahead of the meeting was the president of the Bar Association, Councillor Tiawan Gonglu.
That are being Liberia. Some say there should be accountability. We should hold accountable those who commit atrocities during the war. But it's being vaguely stated whether it's accountability for those who bear the highest responsibility, the commander, the organizers, or those who actually kill people in the field. We haven't discussed that. Some say let's just let bygones be bygones. And I call it collective amnesia, where we all agree to forget. But it is not scientific, it's not normal. You know, you and I can never agree to forget. I may forget something that you will remember. For example, we haven't met for a long time. Perhaps when I got there, I probably forgot that you suffered George. It can happen. It happens. Forgetfulness is a natural development. People don't plan to forget. People don't vote to forget. So it really sounds illogical. But people feel that that is the way to go. So,
meanwhile, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo has at the same time commended the CDC-led government for the progress made so far.
Is a law that was easily abused by repressive regimes. So Liberia has made progress, and of course this government can take credit for it because it happened under this government. Nobody will write history and not say it didn't happen because
at least you took my word now. You accepted what I said.
If you want to win an award for that is lovely. But I'm just saying that when good things happen, it's good to say, just as when bad things happen, we say, this was really a good thing. It's a big positive development. Historically, I told you when the law came.
The Elections Coordinating Committee has gathered stakeholders to a national conference to strengthen Liberia's democracy through electoral reforms. Speaking in an interview with this station, Mr. Blood said many Liberians want the amendment of Article 83A and C of the 1986 Constitution of Liberia.
This is a national electoral reform conference that culminates from a series of activities carried out by the ECC, including field research to speak to ordinary citizens in 6 counties on how the 2017 elections went, their views on the process, their views on the administration of the elections, and what they think amended. We cite the current law. Say, for instance, Section 4.51C speaks about the gender inclusion of the listing of political parties in terms of the candidate submission to the NEC. The current law says the parties shall endeavor to ensure that 30% of the list is gender sensitive. We are saying that the current law in the new election law is not mandatory because the language in there is weak, so it does not give any mandatory enforcement on the part of the political parties. So we are recommending, so in a new version, we will say the ECC amends Section 4.51C to read as follows. And then we say, this is how the language should be phrased.
Meanwhile, NEMOT Executive Director Eddie Jaglo stressed the need for electoral laws to be strictly shared, especially during election period.
The way forward, not just talking anymore. How do we take action? So today is more.
But some of the actions also, you want the amendment of this in the 3C where the NEC should not be.
More to the conference, I'll get people from all over that are going to make recommendations of how do we engage the legislature. Because like we know, there's only the legislature that will do this reform. Either through the electoral law, the code of conduct of the constitution. We just push it, but they have to do it. So they are made commitment. And the citizens are speaking about strategies in terms of how to engage. So this is something that we think will help to strengthen our democracy. The election has to do with trust. And citizens don't trust the system, it will be very difficult.
We now take our foreign news. Algeria's ruling party, the FLN, has backed calls to declare the ailing president Abdelaziz Bouteflika ruled. The FNL intervention, which is expected to be decisive, comes a day after the head of the army, Lieutenant General Ahmed Gaz Saleh, said a constitutional rule should be invoked to remove the president from office. Protests against Mr. Bouteflika began last month after he said he planned to stand for another term. Under pressure, Mr. Bouteflika then agreed to stand down after constitutional reforms had been passed. But people continue to protest, saying the move was a plot by the president to stay in office. Well, folks, on that note, this is how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of LNTV News Live. But before we go, a recap of the top stories. My Gibi District 1 representative Teparusa Tampoa challenges young people to denounce drug abuse and focus on their education. Liberia National Drug Enforcement Agency wants stronger drug laws to help tackle abuse of drugs across the country. First Lady Claudia pledges her unflinching support to the vulnerable population in Liberia. And away from Liberia, Algeria's ruling party, the FLN, backs